Interoperability is the idea that many different technologies can work together in the same ecosystem. It's a simple idea with a very complex way of achieving it. As blockchains scale, more and more people will develop a need to have all their different Web3 protocols working together in a cohesive way. We welcome back Anthony Georgiades, co-founder of Pastel Network, to educate us on the latest developments in the interoperability space. Anthony, welcome back to the Daily Drop.
Thanks for having me.
Well, look, I know that interoperability is your lane, and so I was very excited for you to come back to the show. So let's start right at the beginning for our audience, who, because I think there's probably a lot of people who don't even know what it is, but what is interoperability?
Yeah, at its core, interoperability is just the idea that different types of technologies can communicate with one another. So, for example, if you're on an iPhone and you're opening up an application, basically Apple's technology is probably interacting with Amazon Web Services technology. And so, for the most part, interoperability is a commoditized concept in the world of centralized technology. Under the auspices of blockchain, interoperability is the idea that different disparate blockchains can communicate with one another and basically share the same state of information, one blockchain to another blockchain.
And why does that matter? Why does interoperability matter in the blockchain space?
So blockchains are fundamentally at their core decentralized, self-contained systems, right? And in this particular scenario, if you think about one blockchain being able to read information from another blockchain, or vice versa, one blockchain writing information to a different blockchain based off of a different state of information, because of how blockchains at their primitive core are designed, different consensus mechanisms, a source of truth within its own ecosystem, it requires a tremendous amount of technical overhaul to be able to validate and verify the actual state of truth between multiple blockchains at the same time.
So, look, I know it's going to be a long answer and you can't answer everything, but how would that even work? Like, how can you get all of these different blockchains to work together?
There's so much different innovation that's going on right now in the space, and there's no kind of one-size-fits-all model. There's sort of these hacks in terms of, well, there's the literal hacks, but there's these sort of development initiatives with respect to bridges that I'm sure a lot of people have seen of late in terms of these bridges that have been hacked and whatnot. But the biggest thing there is you almost have one blockchain here, completely decentralized, another one here, and then you have kind of a centralized intermediary that's brokering transactions. And the bigger thing is you have obviously assets and data. And so you might move a token or some sort of fundamental real value from one blockchain to the other, but then you also might move the underlying data itself, like an NFT, for example. And so those are really two of the biggest use cases. And to your point, in terms of how blockchains are achieving interoperability, we've seen this sort of centralized intermediary way that's taken precedent over the last couple of years. But right now, we're seeing a tremendous amount of innovation with different sorts of technologies, such as cross-messaging protocols. You have layer ones and layer zeros like Polkadot, for example, and even Chainlink. Injective protocol is actually a great example of a blockchain that's developed a very innovative solution. Without getting too technical, the quote-unquote special nodes that secure the injective network itself are also running full nodes of Ethereum. And so in that particular scenario, the nodes that basically protect injective or run the injective protocol are also running an entirely different network at the same time.
Can I ask you a question, I think, because this is very related to what you're talking about. Because obviously decentralization is key, but it just strikes me when we start talking layer zeros, isn't that a form of centralization if you're sort of like harmonizing all of the different blockchains?
You're not harmonizing different blockchains, or to an extent, think about it this way. Every single blockchain, and I'll kind of back into the answer here. Every single blockchain is built with certain value propositions, and with those value propositions comes certain trade-offs. So you might have certain blockchains that are extremely fast. You have high throughput. hundreds of thousands of transactions per second.
You know what, Anthony? Let's do this. I'm going to ask you that question again after the break because we got to go right to break. This is going to be a great answer. I've got Anthony Georgiades here on the Daily Drop.